Hey everybody. So let's see if you did these right. As an added bonus, I'm kind of trying them for the first time myself, so let's see how this goes. Alright, so we have our little table of values to help us out. The first one says solve 2 cosine theta plus square root of 3 equals 0 in degrees. So our first step is we're going to get this cosine of theta, and we're going to try to get it by itself. So I do that by subtracting square root of 3, and I have 2 cosine theta equals negative square root of 3 divided by 2. And so cosine theta equals negative square root of 3 over 2. And so square root of 3 over 2, we can see is there. And so that lines up with 30 degrees. So my reference angle is 30 degrees. But notice that cosine is negative. So cosine is negative on the left side. So that means I'm going to have 30 degrees this way. And I'm going to have 30 degrees this way. Remember, your reference angle is always anchored to the x-axis. So, as far as what must my angles be, this first angle from 0 to there, well, you would do 180 minus 30. That's 150. And then the other angle goes all the way to the other one, but that's just 180 plus 30. And so that's 210. So those are my 2 degrees. And it's every rotation for that. So my answer would be theta would be equal to 150 degrees plus 360k and 210 degrees plus 360k. Yay. All right. And remember, you can always check these if you wanted to. If you go to Desmos, 2 cosine theta plus square root of 3. So you would just go ahead and type it in. 2 cosine, theta doesn't have theta as a variable, but I can say 2 cosine x plus square root of 3. Here's my equation, and then you can see where it crosses. 150, 210. And then from there, every 360 degrees, you add 360, would be 510. 210 plus 360 would be 570. Excuse me. Anyway, next one. Oop. Solve 2 tangent x minus 1 plus 11 equals negative 9. Okay, and this one is going to be in radians. So since it's in radians, just to make sure, I'm going to go to my calculator, go to mode, select radians. And now I want to solve for tangent of x minus 1. So I want to get this part by itself. So my first step is to subtract the 11. So I have 2 tangent x minus 1 equals negative 20. Then I'm going to divide it by 2. So tangent of x minus 1 equals negative 10. All right. Well, I can get my reference angle by saying the inverse tangent of negative 10. And remember that it's going to be set equal to x minus 1 when we get it. But anyway, so so inverse 10, negative 10. And I get negative 1.47. Okay, so that's negative If we're dealing with tangent, it's positive, negative, positive, negative. And so negative 1.47 is over here. Wait, hold on. Let me pause it real quick. This is what I get for trying to wing things. Alrighty. Sorry, I had a little like, am I doing it right? Kind of moment. But yeah. So negative 1.47 is almost the full 90 degrees. And then we have, but when you write the reference angle, really you just keep it positive. And then 1.47 would be up here. Okay, but remember that when you're dealing with tangent, they're always going to be 180 apart. So the angle from here to here is, remember, this is 0, this is pi. So I'm just going to do pi minus 1.47. And that's 1.67. Okay, and then the other one would be 2 pi minus 1.47. And that's 4.83. So this angle all the way here is 4.81. But remember, 1.67 and 4.81 are just pi apart. So I can get that 1.67 plus pi. Would help if I put the right number. And I get the same answer that I would have had over there. So they're only pi apart. So when you write your answer, you really only need to write one of them, which I'm going to do for the 1.67. And then I'm just going to add pi to get to the next one. Add pi to get to the next one. So my answer is my x minus 1, which was the inside, is equal to 1.67 plus k pi. All I got to do now is add 1 to the other side. And so x is equal to 2.67 plus k pi. There you go. Now the moment of truth is you type this in a Desmos and see if you get the right answer. So 2tan x minus 1 plus 11. And then we would say that that's equal to what? Was it negative 9? I already forgot. Yeah. That's y equals, and this is in radians. And lowercase y. There it is. There you go. 2.67. And then every pi after that, you get your next answer. Yay, math. All right. One of my friends is texting me, so if his messages pop up, I apologize. He just got he lost his job because of the whole coronavirus thing, and I think he found a new job. Yay. Anyway, so the next one is solve cosecant minus 4 equals negative 2 cosecant a, and this one's back in degrees. So what we're going to do is we want to get our cosecants together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to subtract cosecant a. That gives me negative 4 equals negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3 cosecant a. And then we just divide by negative 3. And so I get 4/3 equals cosecant A. But I don't really like dealing with cosecant, so I'm going to solve the equivalent problem by flipping it. When you flip cosecant, you end up with sine. So I'm going to solve 3/4 equals sine of A. And so we find our reference angle, and that's going to be inverse sine of 3/4. So we go to our calculator, we do inverse sine of 3/4, and you get 0. Oh, and we're in degrees. Never forget that, or you'll be sad. So second answer. Oh, sorry. Second enter. Second enter. Okay, 48.59. And this is positive, so positive, positive, negative, negative. And sine is 48.59. The other answer would be over here. And so we're going to have two different answers. The first answer is just the given one because it's in quadrant 1. So for my solutions, it's going to be theta is equal to 48.59 plus 360k. And then the other one is going to be from here to here. And that's the full 180 degrees, or half 180 degrees, minus 48.59. To be more exact, I guess I can, instead of saying 48.59, I can just use the previous answer. I can say second answer. And that's 131.41. And so that's the other angle. So hopefully these are getting a little easier. But this is a skill that you need to know how to do, because you will run across these equations when you get to trig. Not trig, sorry, when you get to calculus. All right. So now let's go to the ones that have more than one answer, the uglier ones. So let's see if we can solve this. Square root of 3 tangent theta equals 2 sine theta divided by tangent theta. Now, whenever you're doing this, it is bad manners, or illegal rather, it's going to be illegal to, I guess you wouldn't say illegal, but you lose answers, I'll word it that way. Lose valid solutions if you divide by a variable. So if you divide and cancel a variable, then you lose possible answers. And we don't want to do that. So that's going to be the big no-no that you don't want to do in this section. Is it might be legal to divide by variables, but when you do, you lose solutions. So in this case, if you say, oh, divide by tangent theta, well, that's legal and the tangents cancel out. You're losing the tangent theta as a solution. And so that's bad. Instead, what we want to do is we want to get everything to one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2 sine theta tangent theta, subtract 2 sine theta tangent theta, and we get a new equation. Square root of 3 tangent theta minus 2 sine theta tangent theta. And notice here, now it's equal to 0. But now we can factor the tangent theta out. And since we did it this way, we don't lose solutions. So now I have tangent theta equals 0. And square root of 3 minus 2 sine theta equals 0. So this means sine theta is equal to, I subtract the there, divide by negative 2. So that becomes positive square root of 3 over 2. And we work them out. So here, this is tangent. Here's my sine. So tangent plus minus plus minus, sine is plus plus minus minus. So when does tangent equal to 0? Well, like we did earlier, tangent equals 0 when sine theta equals 0. And sine equals 0 at 0 and 180 degrees. Here I'm going to solve this in degrees. And then I'll do the next one in radians. Okay, so the angles are always 0, and then it goes to 180, then it goes to 360, then it goes to, I can't do math in my head right now. But anyway, so my solutions are, for this one, are just 0 plus 180 degrees, or 0 degrees plus 180k. So it starts at 0, and then every 180 after that, you have an answer. Now this next one is positive sine, square root of 3 over 2. I always forget my table, so we go up to where I wrote my table. When is sine equal to square root of 3 over 2? Sine is equal to square root of 3 over 2 at 60 degrees. So that's going to be my go-to angle. So this is going to be 60 degrees. And so you have two solutions. The first one's the 60, and the other one is 180 minus 60, which is 120. Okay, so from the beginning to the second angle. So theta is going to be 60 degrees plus 360k, and theta is also going to be 120 degrees plus 360k. And so you have those three solutions. Okay. So if you wanted it on the homework, I'm guessing you would list it as 0 degrees plus 180k, comma, 60 degrees plus 360k, comma, 120 degrees plus 360k. All right. Any questions? Alrighty, let's move on to the next two, last two. So this next one is 2 sine theta plus 3 equals 7 sine theta. Now, whenever you see a quadratic or a square in this one, especially in the 6.1 question, it's either factorable or quadratic formula. It turns out that this one's factorable. For the same reason, I want to bring everything to one side. So I have 2 sine squared theta minus 7 sine theta plus 3 equals 0. And if I look at this, we can say, okay, how can I factor this? Think of it as 2u squared minus 7u plus 3. Well, the first two terms have to be 2u and u. That's the only way that can work. The last two terms have to be 1 and 3. And since this is negative, it means that one has to be negative, one has to be, no. It means that they both have to be negative. But I don't know which one's which. So I'm just going to do trial and error. 2u squared minus 6 minus 1. Oh, there you go. I got it right first try. If I had gotten it wrong on the first try, like if I said, okay, well, what if this is 3 and this is 1? You would do you factor it in your head. 2u squared, then you do outer, minus 2u minus 3u, but 2 minus 3 is 5. So it can't be that order. It has to be the 1 here and the 3 here. So you get 2u squared minus 6u minus u is minus 7. And then negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. So I get 2u minus 1 equals 0. U minus 3 equals 0. Solving for u is equal to 1/2 for this one. U is equal to 3. But remember, my u is sine theta. So this is really sine theta equals 1/2. And this is sine theta equals 3. We know that this one has no solution. But this one does have a solution. So when is sine equal to 1/2? Turns out to be 30 degrees. So again, we have 30 degrees here, 30 degrees here. Oh, I did the last one in degrees, so I'm going to do this one in radians. Sorry. I'm just trying to change it up. So if we did this in radians, it would be pi over 6. Pi over 6. So then this angle, the angle that goes from the beginning all the way here, is here's 0, here's pi. It's a full pi minus pi over 6, which is 5 pi over 6. Okay, and the other one was no solution, so we didn't really need two separate grids here. So my answer is going to be pi over 6 plus 2k pi and 5 pi over 6 plus 2k pi. There you go. So hopefully you work it out. That one isn't really too bad, and we kind of lucked out in that one answer had no solution. If not, there would be 4 different types of solutions that we'd have to bundle together. All right, last one. 1 minus 4 cosine theta equals negative 2 cosine squared. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 2 cosine squared theta to each side. And I'm going to kind of put it in order so it resembles a quadratic. Now again, this is a quadratic. I got something squared and something. So if this is a quadratic, you can think of it as, again, 2u squared minus 4u plus 1 equals 0. Now this one isn't factorable. And even if you don't like factoring, you can always use the quadratic formula. It's always going to work. Remember the quadratic formula? Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and the whole thing divided by 2a. That's something that you have to memorize, especially if you plan to go in the STEM route. That's a formula that if you get to calculus and you don't have that memorized, your teacher is going to look at you weird. And then they're going to blame either me or your college algebra teacher, and they're going to be like, why didn't you teach them? And they get angry. All right, anyway, so negative b, 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 16, minus 4, a times c is 2. Notice how I do the small chunks in my head. The more stuff you do in your head, the less chance you have to make a calculator error. 2a is 2 times 2 is 4. And this is just very similar to the last problem we did. Honestly, I think it's exactly the same. 2u, let's see, 2 minus 4 plus 1. What was the last one we did over here? 2, it's the same thing, but with cosines. I got these from the book, so I should have checked. Okay, so we end up with 1 plus or minus 8 is 2 square root of 2. And so you get square root of 2 over 2. All right. Oh, and it really shouldn't have been x. It's really u, because that's the variable that I'm using. So u is equal to those, but u is cosine. So that means I have cosine theta is equal to 1 plus square root of 2 over 2. Cosine theta is equal to 1 minus square root of 2 over 2. Now this one can't have a solution because this is larger than 1. And so this doesn't have a solution. Cosine can't be larger than 1. Okay, but the other one does. And so I got to figure out what my angle is. And it's going to be arc cosine of 1 minus square root of 2 over 2. So let's see what that is. So second cosine, 1 minus square root of 2, close parentheses, over 2. And here, I did the last one in radians, right? So this one will be in degrees, and I think this is in degrees. Yeah. 72.97. And so cosine is plus, I'll do it over here to give myself more room. Plus, minus, minus. And so it's positive 72.97. So I have 72.97 this way and 72.97 that way. And so if I look at my angles, my solutions, the first one is just 72.97. Plus 360K. But the next solution goes all the way around here. And that's just a full rotation minus 72.97. So that's going to be 360 minus that. 287.03. And so the other angle is 287.03 degrees plus 360K. All right. So that's about it. Hopefully you got these answers on the homework. And again, I should have made that last problem a different quadratic. But if you don't like factoring, or if you're not good with factoring, the quadratic formula, whenever you see a quadratic type problem, will always work. And it'll always give you your answers. Anyway, you all have a good day and enjoy your weekend. Be happy and be free.